There are 6 things you should never throw in the bin, even though you've always done it. In this short video, I'll show you the ingenious tricks behind them and how you can use them for yourself. If you buy onions or fruit in such nets, for example, you should never throw these nets in the bin because they have an ingenious function. But first you should take out the fruit, remove all the plastic parts from the nets, and then collect several of them. Once you have several together, you can press them together, as you can see here, and then insert several nets into each other. At the end, you should connect them with a thread. To do this, simply wrap a thread around it several times and tie a knot at the end. You can actually use this piece as a substitute for a sponge because of the surface, so do your washing up with it before you dispose of it completely at some point. If you use wet wipes or other wipes that have a closure like this, you should never throw this closure away. When the packaging is empty, carefully tear it off the packaging instead, and you can then use it for 2 ingenious tricks. For example, you could stick it to one of these nut packages with a little hot glue, then cut it out in the opening and remove the nuts from it and close it again at the end. This will keep them airtight. But there is a second option. You will need 2 of these seals. Apply a little hot glue to the edge and stick them together. This will give you a small box where you can put various things. For example, you can put your jewelry in here when you're out and about, or other items that you don't want to lose, and always have them to hand. And if you buy eggs in cardboard packaging like this, you can even use it for an ingenious trick afterwards. To do this, you should cut off the lid of the cardboard packaging. We only need the bottom part of it. You can place this perfectly in your fridge and simply put ketchup or other sauces in upside down. They will find a good hold in the egg tray, and you will have them all in place and they won't just fly around in your fridge. And if you want, you can take the whole bowl out and just put it on the table. And if you've always thrown empty toilet rolls in the trash, you should stop doing that immediately. Here's what you can do with them instead. If you have a corner somewhere where you collect a lot of cables, then you should simply fold these cables up and then put them in the toilet roll. This will keep them perfectly in place and they won't fly around with all the different cables. Ideally, you should now sort them into a shoebox so that they are all in the right place. You can put this shoebox somewhere in your cupboard, and you'll always have all the cables you need to hand and know immediately where to find them without having to pull them all apart. You could even write which cable it is on the toilet roll so that you can find it even more quickly when you're looking for it. And if you have such a chocolate spread jar at home, you shouldn't throw it in the bin as soon as it's empty, but do the following with it first. There comes a point when you can't get anything out of it. Then you throw the jar away even though there are still small amounts of the nut nougat cream inside. Even with a spoon you can't really get it all out. A great insider tip is to pour some milk into a cup, heat it up in the microwave and then pour it into the jar. Now put the lid on and shake everything well. This will melt the chocolate and give you a really nice, tasty, fresh cocoa. And at the end the jar is really empty and then you can dispose of it. But at least you have used up all the leftovers. And under no circumstances should you throw away this clip on an oil bottle. Because if you use such an oil bottle at home, you will also know that when you open the lid, you will first find this small clip at the top. You can simply pull it out by the tap and then you have the entire opening of the oil bottle in front of you and probably just throw this clip in the bin. Instead, you should grab it, squeeze the ring where you pulled it out with your fingers and then push it back into the bottle so that the ring is now pointing downwards instead of upwards. Then it looks like this. Now you can put the normal lid back on and simply place the bottle somewhere in your kitchen, but every time you use it now, this advantage comes into play. Because now you have a perfect dosing aid for your oil bottle. So now when you pour oil into a pan or pot, instead of a big gush coming out, only a small amount comes out through this opening and you can dose it much more easily. But there are other things you should never throw in the bin, including these things that you can see on the screen now. You can find out what they are in the video by clicking on the image.